Hello and welcome to your October edition of Cardano360, your monthly tour of the Cardano universe. Now, before we get started, remember to like, subscribe and to hit that bell. Now, with all the wealth of stories we shared at the summit, it's a more compact show than usual this month, but packed with good stuff. So coming up later, we'll have a community update from Ben and the team, plus Dor with the very latest on Project Catalyst. And with the dApp ecosystem gearing itself up to go, we'll meet one of the more hotly anticipated projects building on Cardano. But first up, let's revisit the summit. 2 remarkable days and 1 incredible weekend. In what was called the biggest blockchain conference of all time, we saw meetups and events on 4 continents in dozens of cities across the globe, plus an immersive and ambitious virtual world event that truly brought the world together with Cardano. Friends old and new from across the Cardano universe got together over 2 incredible days to hear the latest announcements and learn more about the future of governance, utility, impact, adoption and community. And we were pleased to see some impressive numbers in terms of social growth and engagement. 38,000 tweets about Cardano and 11,000 tweets about the summit fired off over the weekend. Over 140,000 of you attended our virtual world. We saw a 67% increase in our Discord server and almost 200% growth across our social channels. Clearly, the Cardano community is growing. And of course, adding to all this excitement were the announcements of new collaborations and partnerships, showing just where we're seeing growth from coming next. Now, in case you missed some of them, let's take a look at just a few. The collaboration between IOG and Quant focuses on verifying identities and authenticating documents for fraud protection. The ultimate aim? To open up finance and power a real FI experience along with the Tala Prism, Input-Output's decentralized identity platform. This will ensure that Cardano stays on top of the evolving global regulatory environment while giving everyone access to decentralized finance. DeFi done better. One of the most exciting partnerships announced at the summit brings together Dish Network and Boost Mobile. This collaboration aims to use the blockchain to unlock value for Dish Network's 11 million TV subscribers and 9 million wireless users, while bringing decentralized identity into the mainstream. At the end of the summit on the stage at Laramie, Wyoming, Charles Hoskinson brought on a special surprise guest. Along with Coty CEO Shahaf Bar-Geffen, they announced that Coty would be the official issuer of JED, a new stablecoin for Cardano. Input-Output Global sees a decentralized future with entrepreneurs from Africa leading the way. That's why we were thrilled to announce a $6 million fund to support entrepreneurs based on the continent looking to build on Cardano. Now, decentralized finance relies on the ability to access accurate and dynamic information in a secure way. We announced a new strategic collaboration with Chainlink Labs to add additional support for developers building smart contracts for Cardano DeFi applications. Access to real-world databases will be supplied through Chainlink's decentralized Oracle networks, which enable smart contracts execution around datasets such as cryptocurrency rates, election results, weather, and more. Input-Output Global is continuing its work with SingularityNet to bring artificial intelligence to the Cardano blockchain. Charles Hoskinson was joined on stage by AI pioneer Ben Goertzel along with Grace. This robot was created to explore their use as assistive care nurses by Awakening Health as a joint venture between Hanson Robotics and SingularityNet. Another important partnership we announced, but one you may have missed, was with Oasis Pro. We're joining forces to target the bond issuance market. The point is to create a new trading system which uses decentralization to allow citizens of developing countries to participate in primary bond markets. Oasis Pro already facilitates digital cash for securities transactions, and the addition of the Cardano blockchain will help remove middlemen while cutting fees. On the enterprise side, we announced a partnership with luxury spirits brand Straight Brands, implementing a Tala scan for tamper-proof software which can record and store data securely and instantly verify the origins of its products throughout the supply chain. It's set to deliver 4 million bottles before the end of 2022, which should be more than enough to celebrate. We also saw announcements on the NFT side from the Cardano Foundation with leading esports player Rival, a sustainability venture committed to planting 1 million trees with Veritree, and Emergo's Ken Kadama announced a new $100 million venture fund for building on Cardano. So that's just a small selection of many announcements and sessions during an action-packed weekend. We've now uploaded all the content to a special summit site, so you're free to watch it back at your leisure. So set some time aside to catch up with all the latest announcements, all the panels, and all the technical updates covering the world of Cardano, from utility to adoption, governance to impact, plus hours of content from our SPO and dev communities, and many of the projects building on Cardano with Project Catalyst. But that's not all. Let's take a whistle-stop tour of everything that happened at the summit.
We are rolling.
The qualities that I see in Cardano community members, these people are very passionate, definitely. It's just, to me, like a hunger to want to know more.
The Cardano community is very engaged. Of all the ecosystems out there, we probably get the most contributions from the community. They don't wait for us to do everything. They're working with us step by step along the way.
What I love about the Cardano community is how mission-focused we are as a group. We're trying to build something bigger, and that makes it a much more pleasant place to be a part of.
We've set this crazy mission that we're going to change the world. Yeah, that's what we're about. We're a systems company. We want to make the world a better place.
Right now, I'm really focused on how to bring finance to places that don't have finance capabilities.
About empowering people to own their identity and own their personal data. It's about empowering people to have a voice in the community that they live in.
We can step off the dysfunctional systems that are keeping us as cogs in unhappy lives in which we cannot fulfill ourselves, and create a better world and a better society through this technology, because now we exist, we have identities of our own.
How do you explain? Like, what is Cardano?
It's a cult. No, I'm kidding.
Finally someone said it, guys.
Cardano is a network, it's a blockchain, it's also a community, it's also a set of ideas about, what's the next step for the human race, kind of, but through a scientific lens, I would say, mostly.
Once I realized the potential of Cardano, I said to myself that this world needs a change. And the second I bumped into Charles and I see that his vision and his dream aligns with mine is what really drew me to the blockchain, but especially to Cardano.
At I.O. there's no BS, there's no bullshit, right? People can actually judge us on what we deliver and how compliant it is to what was said.
It's a business that isn't motivated by pure profit. It isn't that we don't make a profit, it's just not the primary motivation.
Nobody knows the future, but my prediction is that there will be a collective realization. There's actually an alternative to the existing governance systems.
The objective of Cardano is to reach 1 billion users. So users can be people or devices, but that's the goal. It's an ambitious goal.
The question is, what future do we want to create? What is the possible future? And I see Cardano actually being that drive for the world.
Whenever we have an idea, we push it and we push it and we push it as far as we possibly can. We're a systems company, we're a technology company, we have to embrace this new stuff.
The fact that people keep pushing with the vision and delivering what is expected is amazing. It's a process, right? It's not easy.
Values and culture is really important and can make or break our system, and so can governance. Governance will enable us to do what we need to do, and the values and behaviors and principles and strategy will sort of set that direction, and then the real fun can begin.
And indeed, the fun is just getting started. Some inspiring stuff there. So remember to watch all those films in full. Head over to our dedicated Summit site. Okay, it's time to zoom back in now and head over to Ben, Matt and Hassan for the latest on what the IOG community team has been working on, including the Plutus Pioneer Capstone Challenge and stake pool delegations. Then we'll go straight to Dor for an update on Project Catalyst, our innovation community building on Cardano.
Hi everyone, Ben here with Matt and Hassan from the IOG community team. We're here to give you a quick update on some of the things that are going on with the team, all the progress we've made since we spoke last time. Hopefully you enjoyed the Cardano Summit last month, whether you were in person or doing it virtually. Some of the projects and the initiatives that came into the community engaged, they had great stories to tell. At the summit, we had a capstone event for developers, which Matthew helped to organise. And we brought developers from all around the world for our Pioneer program, Plutus Development Partners to Solve Coding Challenges. The challenges were specifically chosen to provide tools that the whole community could use to help build Plutus apps. And the tooling is really important sometimes. Not as attractive as NFTs, but critical to the ecosystem. Check out the blog post in the notes after this. Let's hear more from Matthew, who was part of this cool event, and full credit to him. He really ran that himself with the help of Nigel and the technical team. Matthew, give us a quick recap.
Yeah, so this was a really exciting event. As Ben said, this was a set of challenges in Plutus development that will really help to expand the ecosystem and our capacities. I think that the things that people worked on in the Capstone Challenge will be used by the ecosystem at large. So this is a really exciting event. Especially exciting for us was the structure of the event. We had Plutus developers from IOG as well as our Plutus partners partnering with and collaborating with graduates of our Plutus Pioneer program. And so this was people working very close together for 3 8-hour periods following the sun around the world during the Cardano Summit. So it was really exciting, and I'm glad that I got to spend a bit of time catching up with the winners of the capstone. So let's jump over to them. So before we dive into the winning projects, I'd like to take a step back and remember that this is the Plutus Pioneers capstone. So all the participants in this capstone challenge were participants in the Plutus Pioneers course. So I'd like to hear from you guys, what drew you to Plutus development and how the experience of the course was for you?
Hi, my name is Eli Salkin, and I joined the second cohort of Plutus Pioneers program. And I was drawn to Plutus Pioneers by a friendly invite from Matthias Sieber. And I was always slightly interested in blockchain technologies, and I had understood the value of potential equality that they produce around the world, but I hadn't been satisfied with the methods that a lot of other technologies like Ethereum and Bitcoin use to usher in this type of equality with the carbon costs and all that stuff. And so with Plutus, I saw a potential for development in a clean way with still a focus on producing equality across the globe.
Thanks for that introduction, Eli. Now, can you give us just a brief introduction to your project? What did you work on for the Capstone Challenge?
I created a parameterized piggy bank. And you might think of a non-parameterized piggy bank similar to the gift contract introduced early in the Plutus Pioneers program. But in this contract, though, you have a validator that is parameterized by a type I call bank param.
I heard that our judges were, in particular, very impressed with your concurrency implementation.
Yeah, really, it's all thanks to Lars Brunjus's excellent education in the Plutus Pioneer program that I understood parameterization and the on-chain and off-chain separation that make the program efficient. Also, thanks to the people behind the Plutus Starter repository that guaranteed forking off it would create a seamless experience.
So you have a really interesting dApp, including a innovative implementation of concurrency. So I would be interested to hear where you see this dApp being used, how you imagine it being deployed in the weeks and months ahead?
So I see the application of this particular project to be for, say, parents that have children who own wallets, and with their public key caches, the parents can pay funds to each of their piggy banks. Then when the children have sufficient funds, they can empty their piggy banks into their own wallets. It's a bit of a toy example, but it's a foundation of a lot of potentially larger ideas. I'm working with a team on areas where multiple parties can use parameterized addresses for all sorts of independent and concurrent transactions. And we're building on the Plutus application backend to easily interact with these contracts.
Well, this is a great start, and I think that we are really excited to see those larger ideas come to fruition. So thank you, Eli. And let's head over to Matthias.
My name is Matthias Sieber. I would say that the ethos of Cardano drew me into developing products and services that shall make a positive impact. And my experience with the first cohort of the Plutus Pioneers program was great in that it gave me a decent understanding of how to develop decentralized applications on Cardano that actually have a positive social impact.
Thanks, Matthias. So can you tell us a little bit about your project? What is it and what does it do?
Win-Win is a dispute resolution marketplace that allows disputing parties to settle their issues outside the courts in a timely and cost-effective manner with the help of certified mediators. The name Win-Win comes from the fact that in mediation, the goal is to satisfy the interests of all parties involved.
That is a really interesting use case. Maybe you could tell us how blockchain is integral to this tool that you're creating, and why in particular Cardano?
The mediator in Western societies is commonly a third-party neutral, so bias is something that should be avoided. A mediator should have no knowledge about which party paid first, as that is bias forming information. Also, a mediator should not be running after their money. Similarly, when a mediation actually does not happen due to the mediator's absence, parties should be able to be refunded right away. And smart contracts help with that. So we partner with credential issuing institutions to mint the certification on the Cardano blockchain, so parties do not have to verify the claimed credentials themselves through a manual process, which they rarely do anyway because it's too complicated without the blockchain. It's too time consuming. It's just not worth it. So we build on Cardano because it's the right thing to do, really. Mediation, after all, is a peace building process.
Well, it sounds like you guys are going places. So it's really great to get to have you come make some progress on your work at the Capstone Challenge. Now let's head over to Oscar. Oscar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I am Oscar, or as you find me on the internet, Titan C. I am from Ecuador, and currently I live in Germany. And if you have ever had to change your home country, you probably have a hard, painful experience around this. And that's because moving your entire identity, your money, your property, educational certificates is just hard. And it shouldn't be. And that is what drove me to cryptocurrencies, because they provide a path, an alternative, a way to actually be in control of these things. And this is a future, this is an alternative I want to build. When the Pioneer program was announced, I was just happy to join, because it was an opportunity to have mentorship around Plutus, Cardano, the ecosystem. And I think Lars did just a wonderful job teaching all these concepts.
Thanks, Oscar. So can you give us a brief intro to your project? Just tell us what it is and what it does.
My project is a transaction editor. In a blockchain, we use transactions to update the state of the ledger. And whereas a general user has a wallet to create their spending transactions, stake pool operators and developers, we need more powerful tools because we have other responsibilities and we have other things to try out. The tool we generally use is the Cardano CLI, the command line interface, which is very powerful. But you have to specify step by step which are the instructions you want to execute to craft your transaction. And this process, although precise and that is what gives it the power, it becomes really cumbersome as the scope of your transaction grows. So the next thing we do to manage this complexity is to write scripts that wrap certain kind of functionalities. And the problem with this approach is that it's hard to combine or compose on top of these scripts. So I thought, what is my alternative? And I came up with the idea that if I'm doing a transaction, what I want to be able to do is start from a template where I would put the values, where I would write my intentions, what I want to create a new token, to write metadata, to talk with a smart contract, and then edit this in a human-readable way, which then later my tool, my software, would process and create the instructions I needed to craft this transaction. So it was born a transaction editor.
So how do you see your tool being expanded with further development and use?
There are still many things to do. For example, with smart contracts, you need a supporting tool to keep track of your contracts and the datum and redeemer pair to unlock the contract. Thus, the transaction editor needs now a database to store this information and make it available to the user. A second area for improvement is in the same way your document editor, your word processor, has a spell checker and a grammar checker to warn you early on about typos and other errors. The transaction editor needs a way to warn the user early on about mistakes he might be introducing into his transactions that would make it invalid. Currently, the editor either succeeds or fails, and it's hard to debug why the transaction is not working. Finally, I would like to elevate this editor into the domain of a wallet. That is, give it capabilities of managing your keys, creating a hierarchical deterministic wallet, and connect it to a hardware wallet for signing with your keys in cold storage. And with those capabilities, I believe this would be a fantastic and very powerful wallet I would love to use, and that's why I'm building it. And equally, I welcome users and contributors to help me shape this project into a tool everybody would love to use.
So these have been some really interesting projects. We are very excited about the output of this Capstone Challenge, all the amazing work that you have done, as well as the other winners and all of the participants. For you three in particular, I'm sure there will be people who have watched this interview who are excited about the project that you've worked on and who would like to follow up with you on your project. So how would they get in contact? How would they follow up?
I'm rather old-fashioned in this, but I like email. Email is a wonderful medium for me because I can keep track of my communications. I am on GitHub, and my project is on GitHub. I joined also the IOHK Discord. I am there with all other pioneers, and you can reach me there.
You can find me on the IoG Technical Community Discord server under the handle MKS. You can also send me a message on LinkedIn or IdeaScale. You will find me under my name, Matthias Sieber.
The easiest way to get in contact with me either is on the IoG Discord at eponymous Eli, or on Twitter at Selkin Eli. Those are probably the two best ways to get in contact with me.
So although we only had time to talk with 3 of our winners, we would like to give a shout out to all 7 of them. So really quickly, here are the names of the projects and the Discord usernames of the project winners. So we had the NFT authentication tool by Ganesh, Cardano CLI wallet test tool by Dami 2018 developer, Cardano CLI transaction editor by TitanC, Cardano CLI integration testing toolkit by Flippy, Tokenomia native tokens toolbox by Nicholas Hinnon, and then the win-win dispute resolution application by MKS, and the piggy bank savings application by eponymous Eli. Thank you all for your amazing work at the Capstone, and thank you to all the participants as well.
Great stuff. We had a lot of great feedback from Capstone participants, so we'll be sure to do more of these to bring the whole developer ecosystem in. at the summit, we had the Community World. Hopefully, you all had a chance to check this out. It was a dedicated place, virtual world. So all of those videos, you may have been watching one, you missed the others. Those are going to be up on the Summit website. Definitely go and watch them. Even more importantly, share them with everybody. Get more people to see it. LinkedIn, Twitter, friends and family. What else? Beyond the summit, it's been really busy. Hassan, who joined our team a few months ago, he's been helping me look at the metrics and the analytics to help us make better decisions. Let's walk through some of those, Hassan. Can you give me a recap?
Sure, thanks, Ben. So since our last 360, we've obviously seen continued growth amongst a variety of communities and channels. And amazingly, now we have over 75,000 subscribers across all our email lists. And please join into the fun if you haven't already, and you can get involved too. Over the past month, we've had a real increase on our YouTube channel, over 95% of views, which is a huge amount, and over 18,000 new subscribers. Over 9,000 of you are currently subscribed on Discord, and we have over 300 NFT projects, 160 capitalist funded projects on or for Cardano, and over 200 projects of various kinds working in the testnets. All these numbers and metrics are fantastic, and we really thank you, the community, for all of this.
Great numbers there, Sam. What I really loved was during the summit, it was so busy at the event and in the virtual world, got into Discord, and there was like 7 watch parties running with people watching it live. The virtual world was phenomenal, but it was just really great to see people in Discord long after the event had happened. So I was really pleased about that. What else you've been helping with is the Cardano Stack Exchange, right? Which is a great way to ask questions and to get answers, and it's really focused on quality. Can you tell me about what you've been doing with Tommy from the Cardano Foundation over on there?
Sure. So we now have over 3,500 users on the Cardano Stack Exchange, with over 600 visits per day and 84% of questions with an upvoted or accepted answer. And just looking at the past few months, this has really grown considerably. There are now double the number of site visits per day and number of questions answered per day, and nearly over 1,000 more of you have signed up since. And we really encourage more of you to participate in answering and asking questions, quality questions on the platform if you can, so that this can continue to grow and become a permanent source.
That as well, and also, if someone is technical and they are competent and have the ability to come in and give good answers, because really that's how you're going to help people that come after you, and Cardano is about that, about the people who are going to come after us. So some great progress with the developer community, obviously. Another community very close to my heart, stake pool operators. So I started off, they support and run the Cardano network. IOG's recently updated their delegation strategy. For those who aren't aware, IOG delegates ADA to community-run stake pools to support them. There's been 3 rounds. So in alignment with our vision of an independent, globally decentralized ecosystem, what we've done is in the first round back in January, we were supporting small pools. And so we were looking at pools that were going to hit that sweet spot. To increase predictability. In the second round we went through, and we looked at mission-driven pools and geographically distributed pools. By the third round, we had a lot of feedback on ways that I could have improved it, and maybe decisions other people might have made. So that was good to hear. And third round, we basically gave SPOs the opportunity to be heard and to nominate other SPOs that they felt were making outstanding contributions to the ecosystem. It was really important to give people the chance to put people into the spotlight. And this is going to help Essential Cardano as well, and help us make sure that all of the useful tools that are being constructed and contributions that can benefit more than one person can be shared there. So we had about 514 applications, I think. And the SPOs could nominate themselves, they could nominate another SPO, and they had a second nomination to give. So interestingly, the most common nominations were for other pools that were supporting and helping each other, and everyone who received the delegation had earned a nomination from other SPOs. So I had a lot of DMs saying, thanks delegation. Really, it was other SPOs that nominated each other that got those pools of delegation. So shout out to everybody that took the time to do that. But to close it off, let's talk about Discord, which is going to be the IOG's hub for the community. It's a community of communities. It's our main community channel. We've seen tremendous growth in it, as Hassan's explained. Over 9,000 community members, all discussing things to do with Cardano and protocol and decisions. What I do want to do, touch on something where I think that, sometimes part of having joined IOG, I really get an opportunity to learn about the protocol and, more kind of technical ideas, how the network's been built. It's a good example. And it's been fantastic. And then, I'll come onto Twitter and there'll be sort of misconceptions or people won't fully understand it. And so the issue there is I think Twitter is really, really great, but I think Discord is going to be better. And I want to explore Discord stages and have the team come in and have the kind of talks that I've benefited from and create a space where you can come in and listen to those talks too and help us build it out. Obviously, we need volunteers. Matthew's here. He's always there in Discord. He lives there. I'm pretty sure he does. So in the coming months, Discord stages are similar to Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse. And I want to build out that space so people can come and talk to our team and hear about them. Matthew, what have I missed? I'm sure I must have missed some key information. Do you have any last comments?
Yeah, so I mean, there are a couple of things that are happening, occurring in Discord. I mean, they're not specifically about Discord, but one thing is the Atoll Prism Pioneers. By this time, will have begun with 270 participants. This is something that we are really excited about. It's a sort of a new phase in IOG's education strategy, and I think that it's going to be a really good follow along from the Plutus Pioneers course. Another thing to think about with the Discord is it is the IOG technical community Discord, and so that it still has that spirit of the Plutus Pioneers program, which is what it started with, that an open source, community of learners figuring out technical topics. And so I think that's something that would be really good for people to come in. This is something also that we want to do is to begin to accommodate. We have specifically areas for technical education, but we also have, and we're going to be continuing to build out areas where people can talk to developers and can talk to people who understand the protocol more deeply, business people, entrepreneurs, and even just people who are interested in the theory of it, investors. So we want to have that sort of that synergy where the education is flowing out from sort of the technical core into the wider community also. Another thing is we have a new feedback feature in Discord. So we have a channel where you can come in and post your feedback about the Discord server, about developer experience, these kinds of topics. And we want to hear your voice. So last of all, we have a new and updated job post channel. So this is a job board where people have been posting jobs specifically for Plutus developers. You hear people say, and it's getting a lot of response also, you hear people say, okay, where are the developers, where's the demand? And there's a ton of demand, and there's a ton of Plutus developers also. So it's a really thriving area, and I'd love for you guys to come in there.
That's a great point, because the point of these pillars of build, create, and educate is that you're getting different people in with different talents. And, where do you think these DApp projects are going to hire from? It's going to be from people in the community that understand it, So, I mean, just to recap, this is October that we're recording this. I want to just remind everybody about momentum and how fast and how quickly we're moving. Even as Matthew's talking about building out Discord, is changing all the time. Those are virtuous titles for now, Matthew, right? I'm sure utility is coming. So, on that topic, we've had a fantastic summit and we had some great events this year, and it's really important to, help the world see what's going on. But what comes after that is self-organizing, small groups, individuals, taking action, being doers. And those are the kinds of people that we want to attract to Discord, that we want to work with, and that we want to serve. So, from the community team, we're here to help you, and we're here to help you change the world. So any questions, concerns, comments, my Twitter DMs are open. Matthew's in Discord all the time. Hassan's around in various places. So just reach out, and we would love to have a chat.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Today I'm joined by Dor Garbash, the man who is leading the way to on-chain governance with Project Catalyst. Dor, welcome back to Cardano360.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
It's been a little while since we've done this, so can you give us an update on what's been going on with Project Catalyst?
First and foremost, we're just wrapping up Fund 6. We had extraordinary participation numbers, 44,587 unique wallets registered to vote. That's a total of 3.58 billion ADA participating in voting, and 200,092 or a bit more than that votes cast. Okay, so what we mean is that, you know, we had 711 proposals on the ballot. Okay, so, and we had all these tens of thousands of people voting on them. So almost 300,000 unique votes. Just imagine the magnitude of human processing, right? Human thought, decision making that went into this. This is a truly distributed, decentralized decision-making process led by a huge, army, swarm of people from all over the world. We know that people from more than 164 countries are participated. So it's like a mass-scale global elections governing the distribution of $4 million in ADA to jumpstart the ecosystem. And I invite everybody to check out the results. They should be published around this time, and learn about the 100+ projects that are going to get launched thanks to the collective effort of our community. So that's kind of amazing.
That is amazing. So we have ideas coming in from 164 countries in the world, participation from every corner of society. What are we seeing in terms of some of the themes that are coming up now? What are people interested in?
I think we're moving to a new state where it's actually kind of hard to track everything at the same time. We had in the last one, we have 19 different challenges. I would say what I'm seeing is maturation of the entire community, because, we've been doing this 6 times and now we're soon going to start Fund 7. It's going to be 7 times. So we have all these assessors and all the proposers are gaining the skills and the knowledge and, are moving towards being much more like experts in their domains. And now we have thousands of people that really have an overview about the problems that Cardano is facing and the types of solutions that are out there. What I'm seeing is higher degrees of coordination, higher degrees of pragmatic, informed discussion happening. I see a big desire and willingness and building capacity towards the involvement of community in more decision-making processes. Okay, so far with Catalyst, it's the community defines which proposals gets funded, a community builds the proposals, and also the community setting up the goals with challenges. But we're also starting the transition to start to define how these funds are managed, right, and what kind of alternatives they're at. So there's a few key initiatives that are starting. First version of the Catalyst Circle is now coming to an end, and I really have to commend every single person that's in the circle for doing extraordinary work. We started as a really rough pilot with representatives of the advisors and proposers and tool makers and SPOs and IOG and CF, not even knowing each other that well. And we really ended up with a much more refined process, better communications, and a really great administration team, like both the secretary team and the facilitator team are doing an amazing work. And we're setting up for Catalyst Circle version 2 that's going to have more responsibilities, more legitimacy. So we're truly on the path for Voltaire, okay? And giving the Cardano community the freedom to build what they want and the freedom to decide on the future of the network. So it's amazing to see it taking shape.
So you've already touched on the ways that Project Catalyst has changed over the last year, so I'll throw you a bit of a curveball. What advice do you have to somebody who's thinking about just getting involved with Project Catalyst?
I would say get started. That's the best thing. Like, don't sit on the sidelines and wait for some perfect condition to happen in your life to get started. The best way to learn is learning by doing, and we're offering a lot of different options for people to get started in a safe, gradual way. So being a voter, participating as a community advisor, going to a Dscale and giving people some comments, watching the town halls, and even making like a very small proposal. Okay, so for like a small amount, for something you feel passionate about. All these experiences, though might be like small at first, are really going to help you understand like what place where you can bring the most contribution. Okay, what works best for you, your specific skills and desires, and get on the path to train how to work in this way of work, which is like the way of the future. That's the best advice. Just get going.
All right, everybody. So if you're thinking about getting started with Project Catalyst, head on over to IdeaScale right now or after Cardano360 ends.
I think there's one little interesting statistics maybe to share to people who don't know. So we did a little survey inside our community. So in our Telegram, the Catalyst Telegram, we asked people, did you quit your job and are now working full-time on Catalyst? And we had more than 500 people responding, and actually 4% of them did. So I think this shows that there is some kind of alternative, right, to work in a corporation, and a lot of people are making the dive, and we're really encouraging people to start explore. You never know. Maybe it's a really good fit for you. So give it a shot.
Go on, get involved with Project Catalyst. This is not professional advice, so maybe don't quit your job. But if you're really successful, quit your job. You deserve it.
And people are making the choices, not because of weird ideology. They're making the choice because it's more satisfying, and there's real incentives. Like Fund 7 is gonna have $8 million.
Dor, thanks for joining us. Any parting thoughts for the people of Cardano360?
Yeah, as you heard, Fund 6 was a huge success, and Fund 7 is going to be double the funding, $8 million, going to launch November 11th. It's going to be big, it's going to be exciting, and we want you to be there. So see you soon, Town Hall, November 11th. Please join and learn all about it.
Great, thank you, Dor.
Now, a quick development update. As DApp momentum builds, work continues apace behind the scenes from both the core IOG team and dozens of development projects. In case you missed it, earlier this month, we caught up with Nigel and Jan from the Plutus team to hear about the latest progress.
In the UTXO model, we have some infrastructure, some off-chain infrastructure that builds the transactions that actually move the apps along that we have. And this off-chain infrastructure is quite complicated because it needs to look at the ledger state, and the PAB is a Haskell library that makes it easier to write this off-chain infrastructure. And it helps with building the UTXO transactions in two ways. One is the read path, so getting information from the chain, reacting to events that happen on the blockchain. And the other one is the write path, where we actually construct the transactions that run the Plutus scripts. And both of them together are available in the PAB. And it's all a single, like a Haskell library. You're using the same language for writing the off-chain infrastructure and for the on-chain scripts. So it is possible to run your dApps with just using Haskell for the validators only, for the on-chain code. And then you would replace the off-chain work that the PAB does with Cardano CLI, essentially. And that's what some of the dApps that are out there already, what they're doing is using Cardano CLI for the transactions. We have a mock chain, which is an emulated Alonso network. And on that, the full functionality of the PAB can be tested and used. And you can start writing your apps. You can write test scenarios. There's a property testing framework available that you can use for some more assurance about your contracts. And that's already available. The thing that's left to do, what we're currently working on, is the right path where we put together the transactions that we send to the wallet backend, and then eventually to the chain. Builders of dApps, it's just a change in the configuration files that they use to start the app. So you can say it should work on the mock chain, on the testnet, or connect to the mainnet, but it doesn't require any change to the actual code to the Haskell code that you wrote.
So this is our critical release before the end of the year. It's getting the Plutus application backend to talk to our wallet backend, or aka our Cardano wallet. So with the Cardano wallet, we have to expose the other half of the Plutus transactions that are given to it. So it's about making sure we've got a balancing endpoint, making sure that actually we've got a signing endpoint, and also coin selection. There's a few other bits like fees and collateral that all need to be packaged up together. Now, that's now been done. We've actually exposed all those things, and we are working really hard to get the PAB integrated against it. And as any engineer would know, this is the critical point. So as you integrate, you find problems, and basically we just keep iterating around as we kind of fix each different problem that arises. Whilst we're integrating this, we're also building a test dApp. So the test dApp we've got is for an NFT marketplace, and it will go hand in hand with our PAB release. So it's our way of fundamentally testing this integration end to end. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good stuff. Everyone's got their own Discord channel that gives them a key link into our own Plutus engineers. We've got our Plutus flying squad that also looks and reviews and fixes issues that they raise. So it's a proper community effort to help them get their dApps over the line, and to help people that are actually, invested to be building businesses on Cardano as we go into the future. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. I think before the end of the year, we'll see a healthy selection of dApps coming out. I think we're going to see a whole cross-section. Some things that will be on the testnet for people to play with, and some people launching onto the mainnet as a first shot at it. Now, I don't want to get too excited. I am certain that we're going to get some good things out before the end of the year, but I think a lot of people will make sure that they do it in a sensible way. So the things that do come out might have an initial sort of beta release with slightly restricted functionality as they test the market. And that's the kind of thing you've got to expect. We've got to make sure we build solid foundations in this ecosystem, but there's a lot of good things to be looking forward to.
So talking of things to look forward to, we thought we'd catch up with one of the most hotly anticipated projects currently building on Cardano. I spoke to Pi Lanningham from decentralized exchange SundaeSwap, just one of the DEXs preparing for launch. We spoke about the project, their plans, and why certification is as important as innovation. So Pi, thanks very much for joining us on Cardano360 this month. Let's maybe just kick things off. Tell us a little bit more about the project and how it all came together.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be on Cardano360 this month. So I want to talk a little bit at first about how, the genesis of SundaeSwap. So our two co-founders, Mateen and Artem, used a lot of PancakeSwap kind of around this time last year. And they really recognized that there was going to be this huge vacuum in the Cardano ecosystem for DeFi, for similar projects. And so they kind of had that birth of an idea to try to build a DEX on Cardano. And then they kind of started investigating some technical resources. Originally, they were planning on launching on Binance Smart Chain, but around the time that they brought me on board, we decided to launch as a Cardano native token. And, I have a lot of background in crypto. I've been in crypto since 2009 when I read the Satoshi white paper. Lost a bunch of Bitcoin, so I kind of left crypto for a little while, very bitter. And then I've been building software for a very long time. I've been programming for 21 years, building software professionally for 10 or 12, depending on whether you count internships, things like that. And then shortly after that, we found our CTO, Matt Ho, and he has a huge breadth of background in the securities space, and how that's relevant to Sundae. And he has helped us avoid classifying the token as a security. So that's been very important to kind of our business strategy. He built and sold a company that was the platform on which AMC Theaters and a bunch of other companies launched their IPO. So he has a lot of experience in kind of the tricky regulatory space that we are, trying to at first avoid and then in the future cooperate with, because I don't think that DeFi long term survives in a completely unregulated state. And then we have hired the rest of our team. We have some really great Haskell engineers. We have some really great front end engineers, all of that. And so basically for, the story of SundaeSwap starts in about April, and I joined very early May. And since then, it's just been growing and kind of snowballing. And we've got huge, incredible community support. And we've, some of the first to show off real running code on a blockchain, and we're very excited and very proud of that. And right now we're just working hard to deliver.
So it is early days for DeFi and Cardano, as we know, but obviously the space is filling up fast. Lots and lots of projects behind the scenes getting ready to deploy. How is SundaeSwap looking to do things differently?
We've got some kind of innovations on top of the Uniswap model that we have come up with. So for example, one of the things that we found when we were discussing with members in our community that really confused people is this whole notion in a liquidity pool. I'm going to assume some basic background knowledge of DeFi. But when you deposit into a liquidity pool, you need kind of both assets in the pool, and you need them in a certain ratio and things like that. And so what we've built is the ability to deposit just a single asset as well. And effectively what it does is it swaps half of your asset for the other asset using the pool itself as it does the deposit. And so you pay like a small transaction fee for that, like you would normally with the swap. But ultimately, that's a huge usability increase. We've got a couple other things like that are focused on, how do we improve either the efficiency of the DEX or the user experience. Ultimately, though, I think what really sets us apart is our social proofs. So if you look at our backing from C-Fund, if you look at our early relationships with CardStarter and Liquid, all of those came about because, we stepped up and we showed them what we were building, kind of gave them a peek behind closed doors, and they were very, very impressed and decided to kind of throw their weight in with ours. It's easy to say that you have kind of clever things. It's a lot harder to convince people who kind of have access to your source code and all that, that you are building clever things.
So, of course, the proof is indeed in the deployment, but you've been keeping the community pretty well informed on these things. But how is the development journey going?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's in a little ways, I feel like a programmer in the 50s or 60s, where I'm writing kind of hand-rolled bytecode and doing optimization and worrying about 16 kilobyte limits and things like that. We're kind of having to develop a lot of stuff because obviously the Cardano ecosystem as a whole is very early, and launching smart contracts is very different from building the tooling and the IDE integration and the debugging tools and the load testing tools and all that kind of stuff. And those things will come in with time, but while they're not here, we're having to kind of make do without them or build them ourselves. And so there's been a lot of that. Development is going really fantastically. We hit a couple rough spots over the last few weeks in terms of optimizing our code and in terms of integrating with wallets. So what happened was a bunch of different parties all kind of built tooling to an agreed upon spec, and then that spec didn't quite line up in terms of how things were serialized and all that. And so there's a lot of having to kind of realign those capillaries, so to speak, and get all of the serialization working correctly, or in cases where we can't get a hold of the developers behind those projects, hack around them ourselves. So there's been some kind of late night coffee fueled programming sessions, but it seems like we are cresting the hill on that, and have just solved some of those main things, and some of our connections and ongoing conversations with some of the folks at IOG have been kind of essential to that. So we really appreciate that relationship and the ability to kind of chat with your engineers and get an insight of like, how is this intended and things like that. So we're narrowing in on kind of, and probably by the time this airs, we hope to have done so, committing to a kind of final commit hash that we then send off to our auditors runtime verification.
So yes, Pi, let's talk about that. Of course, you popped up at the Cardano Summit as I think being one of the first DEXs to be part of the certification program that we announced. Tell us a little bit about the decision making behind that.
Yeah, so certification is a very interesting thing, and to us at SundaeSwap, this whole notion of getting certified is absolutely critical. One of the things that I've been saying for a while is that in the same way that a currency is usually backed by some asset, right? Like it used to be that gold was, or the US dollar was backed by gold. It's my belief that the backing asset for cryptocurrency is trust. And so as a DEX, as somebody who, as a protocol which is going to hold millions, if not billions of dollars, that trust is absolutely essential. And so we have been building that trust, both our trust in the contracts and the community's trust in us, in a number of different ways. And one of the most essential ones is getting a really heavy-duty audit. And it means that we bring in another company with a huge amount of experience to inspect our code. And they kind of double check all of our assumptions. They re-arrive at the same conclusions that we do from the kind of design standpoint. And then they try to kind of hack the code. They throw a bunch of nasty inputs at it and things like that. There's a lot more to it, but that's kind of the Reader's Digest version. And so it was absolutely critical to us to get that audit. And then, that audit, one of the end results is a report that they release. But we saw it as a really great opportunity with IOG and with this notion of certified apps to kind of marry the two and say, well, it's incredibly important for us to get this audit to reveal any issues to us before we launch, if there are any. And so maybe we can translate that into this social capital of trust and capitalize on that and make it a certified DApp. And so it was just a very, very natural fit for us.
And I guess it's now one of the last stages of the process. I don't expect you to give us a launch date right here, right now, Pi. I wouldn't put that on you. But where are we? How close are we now?
So we broke the audit into two phases. One is the design review, where they look at how we intend to build the protocol. And they kind of pressure test that, and they help us reveal any issues in the overall design. And then the second phase, where they look at the actual implementation and see, hey, does that match what we agreed upon as the spec? And does that have any issues in the actual implementation? And so we finished the design review, and, they identified, I think, 2 or 3 ways in which we were vulnerable to a distributed denial of service attack, which somebody could kind of clog up the DEX for long periods of time. And so we addressed those and got sign off on our fixes for those. And now they're in kind of a holding pattern, waiting for us to give them the final kind of version of the code so that they can review. We don't want to just continually give a date and miss it, give a date and miss it. So we're not giving an updated announcement right now. We might have by the time this releases, but as of this recording, just to be safe, we're not giving a specific announcement. But we're working hard towards that, and we expect it, by the end of the year. I think should be pretty safe to say.
Okay, well, look, Pi, good luck with the final mile, and thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, SundaeSwap is just one of the many DEXs getting ready to launch on Cardano, and IOG, through our venture fund, the C Fund, has backed SundaeSwap, so full disclosure there. But make sure you check out all the other DEXs getting ready to launch, like Maladex, MinSwap, Ergodex, Cardax, ADAX, OccamX, to name just a few. And we plan to bring as many of them onto the show as we can over the months ahead. Now remember, none of this is endorsement or financial advice, so always do your own research. But please do dive in and explore some of the dozens of exciting projects building on Cardano. Essential Cardano is a good place to start. You'll find some links there, so check that out in the notes below. And remember, we publish weekly development updates on our roadmap site, from Plutus to DevOps, Daedalus to the ERC20 converter. So for the latest on progress, make sure you bookmark that page. And of course, follow us on Twitter. So we're going to wrap things up soon, but before we go, it's been a busy month on the blog as well. Building on our announcement of the Cardano Summit, we've now welcomed Komodo to the UTXO Alliance, a cross-blockchain body fostering collaboration and innovation created with the Cardano Foundation and Topple, Nervos and Ergo. Also, make sure you check out Kevin Hammond's piece on network optimization and read a piece from Neve with more details on DApp certification. Plus, Charles, John and the team are in Africa at the moment, and you can read more about what they had to say at their recent Cape Town meetup. One last bit of bonus content before we go. While in Laramie at the summit, Charles hung out with legendary DJ Paul Oakenfold. We didn't manage to squeeze it into the agenda, but their conversation is now on YouTube for you to enjoy. Paul and Charles talk dance music, technology, community, and NFTs. Here's a few highlights.
So here today we are in conversation with Charles Hoskinson, CEO of Input Output, and Paul Oakenfold, world-renowned DJ.
We were working in this space on NFTs and really wanted to learn more about it.
Well, I mean, for technology to be great, it has to be useful. So it has to be used by not just computer scientists and mathematicians and Fortune 500 companies, but it has to be used by immensely creative people. There's this huge NFT revolution, but there's a lot of open space. There's a lot of blue ocean to explore there of how do you create those models, what will those do to enable the creativity of the artist, and also how can you improve or change the relationship with the fans so that you ultimately can be closer and have a more sustainable business model.
I think with electronic music, we have a strong community. Depends on what genre you're into, whether it's techno, house, trance, but overall it's a very strong, loyal community. What I find really interesting is technology and our form of music, electronic music, are very close. So for me, I've always been aware and I'm watching what's going on in your space, in that space, to see how closer we can get and what we can do together. It's not enough just to turn up and to perform or play, you know, you need to bring something more to the table. And with technology and with what you're doing, I see those opportunities, and that's what's exciting for me.
Yeah, you know, David Bowie used to say that. They interviewed him, they said, what's the key to your continued success? Because he continually reinvented himself again and again, and he said, never be comfortable. You know, the great things you do are when you're in the pool and your feet don't touch the ground. And the blockchain space, like any other, is no different.
It's a powerful movement that we have, but we embrace change all the time. And what technology has brought to this is us as a community opening our eyes and going, yeah, let's go. What do we want to do? Let's see if we can figure it out.
So that's it for this month. We'll be back in November with more news and updates from the ecosystem as the universe starts to accelerate. But let's play out with some more images and memories from Cardano Summit 2021. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Everything I hoped for and more. I did not think I'd meet so many people so quickly with so many diverse interests who are actually doing things.
Very inspiring to hear about what's coming, what's happened so far in Cardano, and I'm excited for the future.
Good to be able to see people with all their energy. It's also invigorating.
I've been told
that at this moment over 80,000 people have registered and are watching across the world, more than 100 countries. There are people here, there are people in London, Cape Town, Tokyo, all across the world. People just like you, building, thinking, dreaming.
It can change the lives of people all over the world. It can help connect people.
And I just immediately fell in love with it. The people in the community are just all about innovation, and I fell in love with the vibe and slowly, started learning about the technology more and more.
The Cardano community is simultaneously the Wild West and some of the most sophisticated people you can come across.
It was perfect. He was able to just give us some insight into what's going on, and I'm just super excited for that.